The USA, Seles seeded number 6, Steffi Graf, believe it or not, seeded just number 10, but she is not by any means the number 10 player in the world. This is for a place in the semi-final of the women's singles. It could have been a rivalry for the ages between these two, but in 1993, Monica Seles was stabbed by a crazy German, and that really changed things. They've played only 3 times since then. Graf has won all of those. It's 9-4 overall. Welcome, everybody. Cliff Drysdale, Pam Shriver alongside. We're looking forward to this. We've seen this a few times before. They've been great.
The most anticipated quarterfinal in women's Grand Slam history right here.
Normally they play in the final. Well, that's how it's been, anyway, in their history.
Last time Seles won was in the finals here in '93, 6 years ago.
Big forehand from Steffi Graf.
Wow. Well, what a first point. Such an anticipated match, and to come out and see that being the first point, well, it makes you want to watch every single point.
Monica Seles, U.S. citizen now. Sarasota is where she calls home. She was born near the Hungarian border.
See her '98 record there. Didn't start playing until Lipton. And you can see she's 4-0 this year. She did not play. Monica didn't play a tournament before the Australian Open. She kind of goes back and forth on that. Sometimes she comes down to play Sydney. She hasn't been down here in 2 years. Rather 3 years, since '96 when she won it.
Seles, Yugoslavian born in those days. Steffi Graf from Germany, of course. She was born in Brühl, ranked number 8. Of course, she's been the number 1 player for so long now, 29 years older. For tennis, a veteran.
Just in, bringing up break point. It's worth repeating to remember that Monica Seles is undefeated at this tournament. 32 straight wins, 4 straight titles. Hasn't played every year, of course. Won in '91, 2, 3, and then again in '96.
Got to the final of the Open at the end of '95, and she won here. That was the only slam that she won after the stabbing of '93. Graf won, Seles none. Lindsay Davenport, USA, is the number 1 player in the world, the top seed here. Of course, she had it easy against Venus Williams last night, but there was some drama as well. She started out well, no drama in the first set, won by Lindsay Davenport, and then, watch this, this is a set point for Lindsay.
Well, Lindsay fought off 4 break points when she was serving for the set at 5-4. That was Venus's opening to get it back to 5-all. But Davenport won that first set, 6-4, and then at 2-love for Davenport. That's when the controversy started with the beads. First, getting a let played here, which means basically a warning. The next time that happens, you can hear Dennis Obenberg taking the point away.
But I mean, she's not even seeing the beads. No one sees the beads drop.
The rule is if you cause a let or a hindrance,
But wait a minute. The problem is no one is distracted. I am not causing a disturbance here.
I can't tell that.
Well, I think the referee should come out because no one is disturbed.
If you'd like me to call the referee,
Come on out.
absolutely.
Near tears right there, and Venus had trouble getting herself back together, and Lindsay with an easy 6-love win in the second set, through to the semifinals again, looking for her first final performance here.
That was the quarterfinals last night. Lindsay Davenport is in the semifinals. Still talk about the bead story, and we'll continue to address it, of course. But let's check in here now. Center court, Graf, 1 game to love. With a break, 15-love in this game.
There's no doubt, Cliff, that the umpire and the referee were exactly right. If you read the hindrance rule, it was an involuntary hindrance. You get a let, and then you get points taken away.
And she had been warned.
She had been warned. The thing that was tough is that beads have been coming out for years, and it was really the first time ever that a point had been taken away. So I think that's why the reaction from Venus was so emotional.
And the fiery Fred Stolle was at courtside last night watching it all. He's down there again, this time in the sun. Hi, Fred.
Hey, Cliff, it's a little warmer down here than it was last night. And this is a very much anticipated match, as you folks mentioned there. Really a tournament promoter's dream to have this as a quarterfinal, normally a final. Good friends, good competitors, and it's going to show in this match. I'm going to go with Steffi Graf, though, because the way she started off hitting the forehand, I think she's just a little bit fitter than Monica Seles. But the big thing here, it's hot, and if this gets to 1 set apiece, I think that WTA rule where they allow them a 10-minute break will come in.
Game point, Graf. One-handed attempt for the second time. That one doesn't work, and Graf wins the game. It's 2 games to love with the break in the first set, best of 3 quarterfinal of the women's singles. It's National Hockey Night on ESPN 2 Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern when the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim face off against the Colorado Avalanche. Don't miss the action. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.
And that point, Cliff, more than any point, really shows you the advantage of the mobility of Steffi Graf versus Monica Seles. That won Graf that point.
That just shows you how fit she is, really. Always been in great physical shape, though, Graf.
Yeah, I think I remember, Fred, her being maybe 1 pound overweight in the 15 years that she's played. I mean, it's been incredible how consistent she's been with her fitness, with her desire, determination, and in recent years, and comebacks from injuries.
Well, let's talk about that, Pam. I mean, let's go into a little bit of detail about her injuries, because for a lot of last year, she didn't even play.
Well, there was knee surgery in French Open of '97, and that kept her out for 9 months.
But that's how much she dominated before that.
That's right, from 87 to 96. Of course, in 87 took over the #1 spot from Navratilova and hung on to it, except for when Seles had it in the early 90s. And then, of course, she continued her domination, except for a little bit of a slump when Sanchez Vicario moved up to the top spot. One of the big controversies was people wondering how many more titles Graf won because of the Seles absence.
Well, Seles was beginning to enjoy that rivalry and was having more success, actually, at the time that she was stabbed.
Well, it was one of the, to me, one of the saddest things ever in sports, to have that happen and to have a #1 player in the world for 2.5 years out.
You know, I was thinking about that this morning. I think you're right. Maybe the saddest thing in all of sports, I was considering maybe the Munich Olympics disaster or something up there with it.
No, yeah, that's more, that's actually bigger, certainly in tennis. That's before the Hamburg incident, and then after. Just the 1 Grand Slam title 3 years ago here. Been through to 2 U.S. Open finals, losing to her opponent today both times in tough matches. And then, of course, Cliff, the very brave performance last year at the French Open when Seles, 10 days after her father had passed away, her coach, Karoli Seles, came to the French Open, wasn't even sure how she'd play, got through to the finals before losing to Sanchez Vicario.
One of the things the German contingent were worried about here was Steffi Graf's forehand, whether it would be consistent enough. It has started out on fire. On the other side of the coin, I think something that will bother Seles is the slice backhand, because a lot of the younger players, now the slice backhand from Graf, a lot of the younger players don't have that shot. They hit with a lot of topspin and power.
One of the unforced errors on the forehand side, Fred, that you were mentioning, but having watched Graf play in Sydney before here and performing well, losing to Davenport, but beating the Williams sisters, and then so far here, the forehand assistant, and the other day against Mary Jo Fernandez, really stepping it up at 4-all in the third.
And didn't Steffi have also like hand surgery or something after the U.S. Open this year?
Oh, she had wrist surgery, she's had the knee, she's had back problems, I think she's had a slight little shoulder problem. I mean, she's had, I think, some foot problems, just about anything, and that's amazing, because look how fit she is.
Deuce.
Seles needs this game. And the other thing that's interesting and a little controversial about Steffi Graf is that maybe she's actually overtrained through the years, that she's just been out on the practice court and just been relentless. And in the late 20s now, she needs to really step back and not train as much and realize that her body is fragile.
Seles holds on. Steffi Graf, a couple of errors in that game, but she has the break, 2-1. Graf leads Monica Seles for a place in the last four of the Australian women's singles. A big name quarterfinal continues. The top player in the world, she's already in the semi-final. She has some interesting views on just about everybody in the field. Here she is on Steffi.
Steffi Graf is so difficult to play with so many years of experience. You know, she's always going to be a tough opponent. What I like to do is I like to play her backhand, obviously a little bit more, maybe get her off into the backhand corner with some angles or get her reaching there, and then really go for the open court to the forehand. For me, when I like to hit hard to a forehand, she doesn't have enough time to set up and really smack her forehand. But you can't let her run around and hit forehands. You really either have to get her deep into the forehand corner or off the court in the backhand corner. Serve, you need to mix her up a lot so she's not really knowing where you're going to serve, because when she knows she's getting a forehand, she pretty much puts it away. And return of serve, again, you just have to really try and get it back because she does serve so well, and then start the point from there.
And Cliff, in watching Davenport play Graf just a couple of weeks ago in Sydney, after this point, exactly what Lindsay said. She served well, she mixed it up. Davenport hits hard enough to get to the Graf backhand, as does Monica Seles. But right now, Davenport is moving better, covering more balls than Monica Seles.
30-love Graf in this game. That's on the line, 30-15. We've been talking a lot about Steffi Graf and her fitness and her injuries. Give us an injury and fitness update on Monica Seles, Pam.
Well, midway through last year, she was with Gavin Hopper, and her fitness really picked up. But you got to remember, in March at Lipton, after months of being home with her dad, who was really sick, she came out on the tour not fit at all. So made great progress, and now I think is maybe a little step off her best of last year, but still much fitter than she was at Lipton when she lost to Kornikova.
That one Seles, game point Graf. She has a break in this first set, 2-1. She broke in the first serve game of Seles. Ace from Graf, and it is 3-1 Graf in the first set. This is best of 3. The winner will be in the last 4 here in Melbourne. Sports Century, a weekly event that'll count down the top 50 athletes of the past century, continues Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. This week, show O.J. Simpson for more ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Go.com. 3-1 Graf.
Is that not the series that shows, Cliff, where our good friend Rod Laver had his stroke during that interview?
Yeah, matter of fact, Fred, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, and so we'd like to send him our regards from down under, Rocket. You're probably not at this time of the night watching, but I know you'll be watching during the week.
Long there with the forehand. Actually hit with Rocket about 6-7 weeks ago, right after got married, stopped by, and he was hitting tennis balls at Mission Hills with Tommy Tucker and did 2-on-1s. Rocket was on the one side for about 45 minutes straight.
Uh-oh, Fred, there it goes. We thought we were going to be able to take it, but I guess not.
No chance. Hitting the ball beautifully, and as is Steffi Graf with a 3-1 lead.
There's no more deeply loved man in sports than Rod Laver. Great to hear that he's back on the court. 15-30.
Well, Heidi Graf has watched a lot of tennis matches. She's down here with Steffi, and on the other side, Monica Seles is here without her mom, Esther, staying home and wasn't feeling great a few weeks ago. Hope she's better.
Sweet.
And that, Cliff and Fred, is the key for Monica Seles. That whole point, she was camped out right along the baseline, and Graf was pushed back. In order for Seles to win this match, this is what's going to have to happen for Monica.
Flat one down the middle, and then she looked up at the chair ump to say, are you sure that hit the net?
They have those little machines, little wire, so it makes a little noise. Chair umpire calls it. You see there's no net cord judge there anymore.
That one goes wide, and Seles holds on. 3-2, Graf in the first set.
Right now,
Lindsay Davenport, USA #1 in the world, top seed here, already a semi-finalist. You heard her on Steffi. Here she is on Monica.
Monica Seles is someone very tough to play. You know, when you play Monica, she's never going to give up. So you really have to fight for every point that you play against her. I think the one area that you can hurt Monica sometimes is when you take the offensive and get her on the defensive. She's very tough when she's hitting the balls early and really controlling the points. But if you can get her maybe on the defensive, you've got a better shot of winning.
Well, never give up. I mean, that sort of summarizes, I would say, Monica Seles' career, her on and off court style.
It's obviously the right play to get her on the defensive. It's not that easy to do, though, unless you have the power of somebody like Lindsay Davenport.
Or Steffi Graf, who just served her second ace.
Lindsay's given away a lot of trade secrets there. A couple of coaches can take down a few notes on that.
Very generous, our #1.
Yeah.
Well, you know you have to go for your second serve against Monica Seles, so I really think it's not a bad play to step up the second serve, and you're going to hit a few doubles. You can't be too worried about that.
The first. But she's got 3 of those.
Well, and that's twice now that the ball's gone right up the tee, and Monica, until Steffi goes wide, Heinz Gunhart, Steffi's coach.
He's been with her a long time.
I think Monica's got to take one step closer to that center tee. There's Heidi Graf as well. serves in this game. It's always been one of Steffi Graf's favorite, the one out wide on the ad side. A lot of righties don't particularly care for that over the high part of the net.
That particular shot bounced up very high, which was a miss-hit return. Graf couldn't get any power on it, up high on that backhand side. Just not enough on it, allowed Seles to hit the passing shot.
Also, if you play Steffi Graf, you know that she loves to go back cross-court with so many of her slice backhands, whether they're approaches or volleys.
Got that one nice and early. You've seen that so many times from her, and it's so difficult to say which way she's going, isn't it, to anticipate?
Well, that's the 5th backhand winner, and it's another one of the discussed things. Which side of Seles is tougher? Is it the backhand, or is it the forehand, or are they really quite even? Does it depend on the day?
Beautiful shot. Was that Steffi saying something, Fred?
Yes, that was just Steffi saying, come on. They were both very eager in this confrontation today. Both girls have really mixed their serve up well.
I'll tell you, Steffi Graf has shown more emotion, more animation, more excitement.
More enjoyment, maybe.
In the last 6 months than ever.
And that's nice to see, because I always felt that for her this was too much of a job.
Yeah, too dour. I mean, heck, you win 21 Grand Slam singles titles. Enjoy it a little more. But you know, Cliff, as the game gets back to Deuce, the great champions, no matter what, it's never, never enough. Whether we're talking Rocket Laver or Monica Seles, Steffi Graf, it just doesn't matter. Martina Navratilova, she won 9 Wimbledon. She was so depressed she lost the 10th to Conchita Martinez in the finals.
She hit the one-hander and then tries the two-hander. Boy, that's true. This game is like no other game in the world, though. You don't have any partners in there. You've got no teammates. You're on your own, and you have to do it day in and day out.
The 5th forehand error from Seles, only 2 on the backhand side. So today, the backhand's working better, and that may be the steadier side.
Game point, Graf. And Graf holds on with the lead here, 4-2 in the first set. Here is Monica on Steffi.
Steffi's such a great competitor, and you know that she's not going to give you one single ball or an ounce of anything, so you'll have to fight for it. But I go in with the same mental attitude that she'll have to fight for every ball against me also. So we played some great matches, and whenever I play Steffi, I mean, it's a great match, but I really also enjoy playing the match, too.
15-love in this game to Seles, trailing 2-4 first set.
Talked to Monica the other day, and it was so funny because the crowd above, you could hear the music there and the fans going nuts. That's the Australian Open.
Boy, that's a very good volley.
Well, that's the first today, the serve and volley.
And what's the technique here, Fred?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Monica played doubles here with Yana Novotná. I watched their loss the other day, and Monica served and stayed back about 90% of the time.
Oh, forehand down the line. Seles doesn't like the call. No overrule, 30-15.
Yep, good call.
Again, was Graf annoyed at the return. The return was rather short because she'd run round at the hip, trying to get over to the forehand.
Yeah, Graf's good at that, getting annoyed with herself.
Yeah.
Very stubborn, very impatient.
Perfectionist.
Seles holds on at 4-3. They'll change ends now. Graf will serve and we come back. She's got the break in the first set. There has been only one break. They're playing for a place in the last 4 Australian Open women's singles. Of the women's singles yesterday, it was Dominique Van Roos, Belgium, and Amélie Mauresmo of France. First set 6-3 to Mauresmo.
Well, Mauresmo put out Patty Schneider in the second round. She's a big serving French woman with an all-court game, and she has just a terrific performance here at the Australian Open, having never been through even to a quarterfinal, and now finds herself in the semifinals. Van Roos, second opportunity in her career to get through to the semifinal, but just too powerful.
Second set went to a tiebreak. Pam, is she for real, Mauresmo, or is this just a flash in the pan? She was unseeded.
Well, she's now in the top 30 in the world. She's making a big move. A year ago, she was ranked about 95 in the world. So she's only 19 years of age, Cliff. Is she for real? I'd say so.
Steffi Graf leading 4-3 first set. The winner of this match plays the winner of Martina Hingis, Mary Pierce.
Another backhand winner from Seles needs the break back.
That's wide.
And Fred, that's the shot you were talking about, that slice.
Sliced, yeah. And Pam, and a question I want to ask you, you probably would know, but Seles is using a much bigger racket than Graf. She uses the oversized. Is that the oversized racket she has? Because most of the girls seem to use that mid-size. She has the big bomber.
And the long one.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly light one, strung extremely tightly.
Graf has got just a regular or mid-size.
And hers is like a hammer, pretty heavy. Another backhand winner. Seles really attacking on that point and has 2 break points. You can see there, 4-hand winners, and there's her favorite shot that looks like the backhand, and 3 net point one. That's a good number to keep an eye on. Important for Seles to shorten up some of the points and take advantage of her big ground strokes.
15-40. Guys, we're talking about rackets just now. Just about everybody's talking titanium, but you don't see many of them here on the tour, if any. Double fault from Graf, and Seles gets her first break, and we are even at 4 games all in the first set. Reaction, Fred or Pam? What happened there?
Well, this is a real match now. It's the first time that Graf has really tightened up on that second serve, particularly that last one halfway down the net. So often we have these matchups and they don't sort of come up to expectations. I think this one certainly will.
Yeah, these two rarely disappoint you.
That's her second double fault, Graf, when she double faulted for the game.
The first lead Seles has had in the match. She dropped her opening service game to love and has been looking to get that break back ever since. Now at 4-all, 15-love. It's a little lead, but it's a lead.
Seles is looking for call. No way.
Laura Ciccarelli in the chair.
Yeah, that one's on the far side from Ciccarelli, but I think it's skidded off the line pretty good.
Seles on the second serve, being a lefty, has a slight edge in getting the second serve to the Graf backhand. Unable to do it there. Graf got jammed, but got a break with a let cord.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Totally wrong-footing Graf, who is looking, what, at the serve line? Call, Fred?
Yes, she thought the serve was long, Cliff. But again, the electronic machine there is to call that.
Seles' approach should go back cross-court to the Graf forehand, make her come up with a backhand pass, showing you on the low one that perhaps Monica's just so much more comfortable going back cross-court over the low part of the net. Look how low she is to hit that one.
So Graf gets the break. They traded breaks in this little outing. We're going to take another break now, and when we come back, Steffi Graf will serve for the first set. Steffi Graf took on Monica Seles in the 1996 U.S. Open final. Graf beat Seles 7-5 first set.
Well, and it was just amazing because towards the end of this match, a huge storm was moving into Flushing Meadows. And during the award ceremony, look at this dramatic moment as the rain is coming down. It was lightning. It was really like surreal experience.
Seles was hoping to avenge the loss of a year earlier, but that didn't happen. And Graf won it in straights. And as we said earlier today, Graf has beaten Seles 3 times since '93, and that stabbing in Germany. Serving for the set, Steffi Graf, 5-4 first set.
Well, that's two double faults in a row now. One to lose the last game, and now another one to open this game, serving for the set. So little nerves.
3 overall in the match.
Drop shot from Graf. That really was. 30. Make that 15 all in this game.
Great disguise on that drop shot from Graf.
Have a look there at the forehand winners. That is a typical scoreline from Steffi Graf. 1-8 backhand winners to forehand winners, and only 1 point at net. But 71% of the time, the first serve points, she wins them. 4 for 10 on the second serve, 40%. Missed a second serve on the last point and won the point. Before that, she was 3 for 9. Now another second serve.
Boy, that is a great shot. Particularly the returner's serve, Pam. It is so tough to tell which way she's going.
It's another tentative second serve. Graf has backed off on the second serve. Early in this set, she was going after the second serve. Right at the moment, she's a little tentative on the second delivery.
Yeah, sometimes Steffi does lose her rhythm a little bit. High ball toss, and she's missed a lot of first serves as well in the last game or two. She's missing a lot of them by just an inch or two, so it's not far off. Ooh, got away with one there because Seles, sorry.
That one hit the line, that one there, right down the middle there, I think. get it off.
But usually from Seles, in the old times when Seles was dominating, that one in the middle would just be ripped nearer the sideline.
Break point.
Pretty impressive percentages there early with the break points. Did not make a first serve in that entire game, Cliff, when serving for the set. That's unusual for Graf.
Little pressure, maybe?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter how good you are or how great you are, how good you're going to get. It's very, very tough, particularly at this level, and the rivalry that these two have to close out sets. And this is where Steffi has faltered a little bit so far.
3 straight breaks.
There are 2 one-handers in a row there for the forehand side for Seles, and that was not because they were out of reach. She really meant to play them. Interesting.
And again, just a tremendous backhand there that sets the point up. That's her power shot, and this shot's really easy. She just needs to get a little racket head speed on it, even though Graf's there. Sun right in her eyes. That's the only thing that could make that shot complicated. That's always the tough end in Melbourne Park.
Yeah, tougher for the left-hander, actually, Pam, I think.
I know Martina, my old partner, used to make me serve up that end.
That's going to be too long. I was going to say too good, but it was way long. Couldn't tell from here.
Well, you see a little bit of new tactics with the drop shot from Steffi Graf, and it's not a bad play, but at 5-all, 15 love.
Sort of dangerous, I agree.
I don't know.
30 love.
And the thing that Seles did was when she got there, she hit it back to the backhand side of Graf, saying, pass me with your backhand if you can.
Game points for Seles.
We said earlier that Seles finally had a 1-point advantage, now looking for an entire game advantage, something that she has not had in this first set. $166K, that's a fault. That's just on 100 miles an hour. Monica can serve them down about 108, 109, the absolute fastest.
A little too aggressive, too soon, and that one flies off the forehand side. Now Monica Seles leads 6-5. Steffi Graf will serve and we come back, but this time she'll be behind for the first time. She wants to get into a tiebreak. That is increasing in size every year, including another 10,000-seat retractable roof stadium for next year. Here's a look at Yevgeny Kafelnikov. He's going to be taking on Todd Martin for a place in the semifinals. He's practicing on an outside court now as we speak. He had a very rough 5-setter, which he was able to get through, and we will have that match for you 1 o'clock Eastern time. That's 10 o'clock Pacific later today.
What an impressive run for Todd Martin, having won Sydney over Alex Correia just before the Australian Open and surviving. He was down 2-0 in his opening match.
He was.
Beat Korda, the defending champion.
A little real momentum switch now in this match. If you remember, Graf had a point for 3-love and 2 service breaks, and Seles stuck in there. We talked about how important it was for her to win that. So she's taken the best that Graf can give her so far in this first set, and now she's on top.
Well, 32 points from the set now, big turnaround.
And you know, Cliff, that was the first serve that Graf had made. She missed 5 in a row. She hadn't made a first serve since the 8th game where she was broken there as well. So terrible serving recently from Steffi Graf. 2 points from the set now, Seles.
The rhythm is gone that she had early in this set on the serve.
Now set points. If you don't like the weather in Melbourne, wait a minute. If you don't like the score here in this match, wait a minute. Boy, how things change, how quickly. In fact, you could take that even one step further. If you don't like women's tennis players, wait a minute, because we've now got so many new and great players here that challenge these two who dominated for quite a while.
That ended a run of points for Seles at 9.
Set point.
Perhaps that was typical that that set should end with a 4th double fault. I mean, we've been speaking the last couple of games how the rhythm of the Graf serve is just fallen away. And for her to win this match, obviously the Graf serve is going to have to come back.
The 3rd double fault also lost her a game. So it really cost her, Pam. 1 set to Seles.
Spoke a little bit about how Graf doesn't always feel comfortable playing lefties. In the last 12 months, Graf lost to Patty Schneider at the U.S. Open, who's a lefty, lost to Magui Serna, who's a lefty, a good Spanish player at the Canadian Open, and lost her first tournament back in February to Sabine Appelman, a lefty. Again, that swinging serve, getting to the backhand is a key thing for the left-handers. Well, double fault there from Monica Seles, but what a turnaround in the first set, even with the first serves. But Graf was at 70% after her first couple of service games, 4 double faults coming at key times. Seles started the match with the break of serve, and now at 30-all. Graf hoping to climb on top early. Also, Graf lost a set here to Barbara Schwartz, a lefty, who's ranked 129 in the world. See here the serve easily to the backhand side of Graf, and then her favorite backhand. 9 winners off that side. Short little swing, a lot of power.
First game of the second set to Seles, and she won the first set in a big turnaround. Steffi Graf very much in control, and then Seles made her move. First set to Seles, 7-5. Now 1 game to love. Monica Seles, remember one thing about her, this young lady has never lost a match on this court. She has won this tournament 4 times. She's in the quarterfinals, and she's 1 set away from the semis against Graf. Seles is now pretty much in control. We'll find out in the second set. Do you think the other players look at you as an elder statesman?
I do feel that when I'm in the locker room. I really do. And that's been one of the greatest things, which very few people ask me that, because when I left the tour, obviously I was very young and I was #1. And I was really
probably closed off. I think I was so focused on that. And I was a child. I mean, when I left, I was 19. And when I came back, it just changed for so much for the better. And it's just to me, when my competitor comes there and says something, that, you know, I truly admire you, you're my idol, what you've gone for and everything, it just hits you. Wow, you never would expect a competitor, because tennis is a pretty competitive game, and you might play that person a week from now, and it's a tough dynamic to be in. So that has meant
being an elder stateswoman, as well respected as anybody, and it was the respect of her peers that she was really commenting on. And I think it has made her feel really good the last couple of years, as away from the court. She was going through such a tough time with her dad battling cancer for so many years, losing that battle last spring.
Well, Monica Seles looking good. I said going into that piece that she was in control. That's hardly the case. This is such an early stage of the second set. She only just took control of this match. So let me not get ahead of myself. But it is 15:30 here on Graf's first serve game of the second. That's Seles, and here are break points for Seles.
Well, you know that Graf is starting to get worried when she's coming over a backhand. That's the first topspin backhand that Steffi Graf has tried to hit in this match.
And it backfired because it took time away from her, so Seles had the whole line. Graf camp looking on with concern. 2 break points. Trying to win 5 straight games, Monica Seles. Has not beaten Steffi Graf for 6 years. It's the finals here in '93. A great 3-set match.
That one sails wide, and Monica Seles has the early break in the second set, so she leads 1 set and 2 games to love in the second. Friday Night Fights presented by Budweiser on ESPN2, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This month's classic footage is all about Mike Tyson, plus a 10-round middleweight bout. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.
Wow, I mean, the turnaround from midway through the first set is amazing. And just look at that, 32-0, champion here 4 times. Also, Monica Seles has never lost a match in Australia. She's won Sydney every time she's played there as well. There is something about the air down under that just suits Monica Seles.
The last time that these two played down under was the '93 Australian Open final, won by Seles in 3 sets. But that's the last time that she's beaten Graf.
Seles is even answering those slice backhands with one-handed forehands. It's just incredible that she is as confident as I've ever seen her right now.
Well, that's what 32-0 will do for you, won't it?
Oh, boy.
See, the backhand is so good because it can go back cross-court or down the line, and Graf has to respect the cross-court, so she leaves the line open, and now 2 game points.
I didn't see it, but I heard that the last match they played at the Chase, Pam, was a really outstanding match.
I saw that match, 6-4 in the third. It was tremendous, and indoors you'd have to give Steffi Graf the edge always.
40-30 Seles, 2 games to love and 1 set in hand.
There's a time where Steffi Graf's able to run around the second serve. She can do that all day long against a righty. Just a little tougher because that slice is coming in, but Graf's still quick enough.
This is a big game now with Graf having made a comeback in it.
Well, the crowd down here just love these two ladies, and they want Graf to get back into this match.
From 40-15 up, 2 points for 3-love. If Graf can break back, then that puts a big stop to the momentum of Seles, who'd won 5 games in a row before this one.
Boy, that's well played. I mean, that is not an easy shot. Directional change. That one down the line over the highest part of the net. A little bit extra topspin. Watch this one again.
Well, Steffi Graf is always camping out on the left side of the court because her backhand gets picked on so much. So that side is often open if you're brave enough to try it. We know Seles is brave enough.
That one sails off the forehand side. Game point for Seles for 3-love. Fred, how hot is it down there? We're sitting here, beautiful air conditioned. I forget sometimes.
Yeah, it is very warm down here, and but the way things are going, I don't think this is going to go 3 sets. Steffi Graf getting very frustrated after that last forehand miss, but it is hot here. I think we'd say it's over 100 degrees down here, Cliff, on court. This rubberized surface, it gets hot.
See the unforced errors there. 4 ahead of Seles is Graf.
Game point. One-hander. One-hander. Oh boy, and she holds on. They'll change hands with Monica Seles now. Truly, seemingly in control. Only 1 break though in the second set, 3 games to love. Can she maintain the momentum? She nearly lost it there. She leads by 1 set to none at 3-love.
For the tragic incident in Germany, and before Seles' 3 Australian Opens in a row, Graf had won 3 in a row in 88, 89, and 90. So these two have 4 between them. Last time, I'm sure there were 8 titles on the court. Same court was when Margaret Court, her 11 were parading out there the last time she played. Margaret Court is a record at 24 Grand Slam singles titles. Graf with 21. That's the Roy Emerson version for Steffi Graf, except Pete Sampras only needs 1 to tie.
This is a must-win situation for Graf here, down love 3, and as my favourite expression, the wheels have fallen off the serve. The rhythm at the start of this match on the serve was terrific. It's gone.
Graf held her opening service game to 15. Fred, I don't know whether you can see it, but it seems to me that the Graf toss is more behind her than normal. She made that last one, but it's not that aggressive forward toss.
Well, as you mentioned, she has to serve well in order to do anything in this match, and once the serve is not going well, then it puts a lot of pressure on everything else. You can see now the shrug of the shoulders there. Hey, I got one in.
15-30 in this game. This is a really big point. Big stage of the match. Monica Seles looking for an insurance second break in the second set.
Oh, and that's 2 of the best first serves in a row we've seen from Steffi Graf since early in the match. It's the love 30 point when Graf came up with the ace.
You wouldn't have thought so from her reaction.
Well, she's lost 6 games in a row. She's pretty disgusted with herself.
Yeah, and of course, as goes the serve, then so often goes the rest of your game. That mistake gives Monica Seles another break point.
Face of determination right there.
When you compare the winners and unforced errors, it really tells a story here. For Seles, 22 winners. Graf has 17. So Seles gets the second break of the second set and leads 4 games to love. She won the first 7-5. She was down. Help me out now. What, 3-love and nearly a break point for 4 or something? I mean, she was way down the third.
2-love point for 3-love, and then 3-1 and 4-2.
That's where it turned around, though, that 3-love, if she'd have got 2 breaks for 3-love. But I have not seen, in all the years I've been watching Steffi play, somebody as despondent as she is now with herself. You very rarely see her give any of this sort of stuff away to her opponent.
The confidence factor takes over.
Well, Monica knows once she's pulled this far out of the court, she has to come up with a winner. That's plain and simple. So she goes into it with a very clear game plan. It's called blast up the line.
You're watching coverage of the women's singles quarterfinals at the Australian Open. Steffi Graf and Monica Seles from Melbourne Park. We have 2 women's semi-finalists already, Hingis and Mauresmo. Excuse me, Davenport and Mauresmo. Excuse me.
Davenport, #1 player in the world, took over from Hingis in October. 3 game points for 5-love.
And that's what it is. The players will change ends, and things have gone downhill in a hurry for Steffi Graf. Strength. Back, everybody. This is Melbourne Park with a retractable roof and a full house. You say that for 14 days. You can say that for all the sessions. It has been jammed. Record crowds, over 30,000 more than last year. Extraordinary performance by the Australians here. This is a legitimate Grand Slam in every respect. Trying to stay in this match, down 5 games to love. Graf serving. Second set.
I can never remember Steffi Graf losing 8 straight games. I'm sure she has. I just can't remember it.
Well, great expectations for this match, and it was a fabulous match, but it has been totally dominated by sheer brute from Seles since midway through first set. Down 4-2, and it's been all Seles since. Doesn't come any better than that, folks.
No, now she doesn't miss anything.
Well, Monica Seles just 3 points away from doing something she hasn't done in 9 years, and that's beat Steffi Graf in straight sets. It's been since the finals of the French, 1990. We mentioned that the last time Seles won was in the finals here in '93 over Graf. The time before that, Seles beat Graf in the '92 French Open final 10-8 in the third.
She's got another new shot. That one in the forehand
is
not missed today.
Yeah, she's been hitting that more and more in the last 12 months. I think it started when she came back and she wasn't fit. She was slower, but she's found out she can hit it okay.
There's another one. Doesn't need to hit that one. She's got a match point for a bagel here in the second set. Steffi still alive, but really it's at 5 games to love Seles in the second.
And that was the match point grunt. I mean, there was more effort. That was a great first serve and a good follow-up. It was pretty loud, Fred.
Very loud down here. I just love being down here with all these photographers. They move from one sort of end of the court to the other, just waiting for that final point.
Steffi Graf hoping to get on the scoreboard here in the second set.
Got a game point. Crowd like this.
I think they were stunned by the last 8 games to see it just roll away from Steffi Graf as quickly. But, you know, Monica Seles, still the toughest game for her is going to be getting that 6 up. You haven't done something for a long, long time. It's never easy. 6 years since she's beaten Steffi Graf.
The one-hand, it didn't work.
Well, that was as far as Steffi Graf can run around the backhand to hit a forehand.
Seles questioned the call back there that accepted, asked the lines judge, and was signaled good, so she accepted it.
Love 15. Talked about that not being the friendly side to the left-handed server with the Sun's position now. Serving for the match.
Now, Monica Seles used to be the best closer of matches ever, as well as the best of everything else. But the last couple of years, she's not as strong in closing.
Second double fault of the match only. And then a freebie from Steffi Graf. If ever there was a time to make her play, this is it.
Seles desperately wants to make this the last game of the match.
.30.
Match point number 2, this time on Seles' serve.
That one is out of reach. Deuce.
One-hander again, but this one pretty much all there for Graf.
for Graf.
Yeah, a bit of a quick look from Graf there. It's very few errors from the Seles racket today. Graf surprised with that one. Had a quick look at her opponent.
What did it look say, Fred? Like, are you buckling or something?
No, she's just been getting, hasn't missed too much off the ground. Missed that one, but then that return of serve. It was not a big first serve from Seles. A bit of a change-up serve, just 124 kilometres an hour.
11th backhand error for Graf, only 4 for Seles.
Sort of glossed over it, Fred, but the fact is you're dead right about one thing, and that is that Seles has not made many unforced errors off the ground here in the last 8-9 games. Deuce.
Starting to want to question that last call. Very deep from Steffi Graf, but Monica immediately goes back to work. Break point. Dangerous to not even swing. Clearly it was long, but Monica just took her racket back and never made a forward move.
Deuce. That's a great shot off the forehand side down the line. Clean winner for another break point.
Steffi Graf loves the pace of this last point. She's not afraid to go for it either. We saw Seles from the same position a couple of games ago hit a winner up that line. Knew it was coming to her backhand, but still too much force from the racket of Seles.
Match point again. That one sails, and as you were saying, Pam, for the first time in 6 years, Monica Seles has beaten Steffi Graf. The last time it had happened was on this same court. Started out pretty shaky, but then ended up playing spectacular tennis.
Well, the crowd really appreciating two great champions, and Monica Seles doing something that's kind of unfamiliar for her. That's a win over Steffi Graf, and obviously now it's just the semifinals. I mean, every other time for, like, besides the Chase Championships just a few months ago when she beats Graf, she's like got her arms in the air and about ready to hold a trophy. Not the case. She's got 2 more matches.
Fred, was that a surprise to you?
Big surprise, Cliff. I think it looked as though Graf was going to dominate as she started off, but what a great tribute to Monica Seles on the comeback trail. Still a clean record down here, unbeaten in Australia.
So that's how things stand as of now, Pam.
Well, Monica Seles now with 33 wins in a row down here, waiting for the winner of Pierce and Hingis. And there's 2 more former champions. Hingis won it the last 2 years, Pierce in '95.
You'll see the Pierce-Hingis match when we come back to our coverage of the Australian Open from Melbourne Park, everybody. Meanwhile, enjoy with this young lady, Monica Seles, a big victory for her. How sweet it is. Takes out Steffi Graf. She was down 2 games to love in the first set and points for 3-love, but came roaring back, won the first set 7-5, and then played beautifully in the second set, winning that one 6-1. So she is in the last 4 of this first Grand Slam of the year. Up next for her, it'll be either Mary Pierce, the number 7 seed, or Martina Hingis of Switzerland. Already in the semifinals, Lindsay Davenport and Mauresmo of France. Last night, Venus Williams took on Lindsay Davenport. Venus Williams lost beads from her hair, and it cost her a point. Lots of controversy. They had differing views in the post-match press conference when the match was over. Davenport the winner.
I don't think it was a very fair call because I have not in the past been notorious for my beads falling out of my hair. It's not an incident that occurs frequently. And I've never had such treatment before from any other umpire or any other match. And I just found it quite odd, and it was a little bit disrupting, and it was just definitely an experience that just happens in life, I suppose. I don't think it's a real distraction. I just don't think that the other player on the other side of the net is able to actually see. It'd be different. They're focusing on my hair, but I think they're more or less focusing on the ball.
Well, you can hear them, and you can see them a little bit. I mean, fortunately, you learn to play the ball, but I'm not going to say it was a total distraction, but it is a little annoying, maybe.
No, I shouldn't have to change for any other circumstance. I like my hair.
It's just things flying in the air that you're not supposed to be seeing.
Back in 1997, when we were at Wimbledon, and it kept raining, and the press had nothing to write about, they started writing about if the beads fell out of my hair. And after that, I asked the tour director what the rule was on it. And that was 97. I think the rules changed since then.
I don't know if this is the first time she's lost a point from it. I have no idea, but it's the rules. I don't know what else to say. This can't happen.
It's up to me to keep up on the rules, though.
When it was all over, our own Pam Shriver caught up with Venus Williams, and they talked.
Venus, obviously everyone from this match are going to be talking about the hindrance rule and the beads. If I can, just very quickly, I want to say what the rule is. If a player hinders his opponent, it can be ruled involuntary or deliberate. In this case, obviously, it was involuntary, meaning you didn't mean to do it. It's either a ball falling out of a pocket, a hat falling off, etc. The first time, a let should be called, and the player should be told any such hindrance thereafter will be ruled deliberate. First off, the umpire did say something to you after the first few beads fell off?
Yeah, he did say something, and I guess he called a let.
Okay, now at that point, did it occur to you what might happen, if any more? Did you actually think then that you might get a point taken away, or did it not really occur to you?
No, I didn't really think I'd get a point taken away because it was such a minute thing that was happening. I mean, it's just a bead that's extremely small. It's smaller than the nail on your pinky.
Right.
So it's very difficult to see. And I just was pretty alarmed by it.
Now, of course, you've worn the beads since you joined the tour, and you've had strands fall off before. Has anything like this ever happened before?
I've never had a let call. I've never had a warning. I've never had an umpire advise me on anything because obviously it's something that's involuntary, something that rarely happens, and something that isn't distracting at all. So it was definitely a new experience. That's all I can say about it.
I know it's soon after, but what do you think you can learn from it? How can you, obviously you don't want to put yourself through that again, but what can you learn from it? How can we make sure that it doesn't happen again?
My best bet is just to tie my beads a little bit tighter and move on.
Martina Hingis up next against Mary Pierce. We're going to take a break now for our coverage of the Australian Open Championships. Fred Stolley and Pam Shriver to call it for you after this.
Final action continues in the women's singles from Melbourne, Australia.
The first Grand Slam of the year has brought together legends and has showcased #1 players past and present. We've had mastery and mystery, uprisings and uproar, even a bad hair day. If tennis is your passion, this is your day. The women's semifinals of the Australian Open are next on ESPN 2.